Wow, what a wonderful session that George has put up with ITB on the previous forum. So I'm going to continue on the China topic, but I'm going to pull you from 37,000 feet down on the ground. So I'm going to show you the mistakes that we have made and the lessons we've learned on how to market hotels in the complex online world. Okay, so I'm Anita. I'm Anita Chan, CEO of ITBAsia. So, let's give Ken. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to pull you from 37,000 feet down on the ground. So no matter how big your brand is, you can get all kind of things wrong in China. It's just a minefield. So, setting the stage, this is how the China market is. So mistake number one, whenever a foreign company want to go into China, the first thing they say, let's translate to have a Chinese language website. And then Chinese will search and they will be able to find us. Great, that's a good first step. But we all know that it's the great firewall of China. That a lot of things like Google, YouTube, Gmail, everything is blocked in China. So when you build a website, originally under your structure, you may have a very nice video that is embedded under the YouTube platform. So, it looks good in your home country, but then when it's in China, it doesn't appear. Or maybe you have a contact us form, okay, to say, okay, contact us, and you're using Google form, and actually in China, that also disappeared. So there's a lot of things to make mistakes on when you build a website translated into Chinese. So what we learned is, as Stephen talked about localization, so we need to do localized website. And trust me, Trip.com or Ctrip doesn't pay me for this, but I use that as an example. You can see they are the same company. Trip.com target the international audience, and Ctrip target Chinese. And you can see even from the same company, they do not have the same design and layout on their website. And this is the importance of localized website, not just in design, but also the architecture, to fit the taste of Chinese. Then again, after you have a Chinese translated website, where do you put it? What is the website domain? In China, you need the .cn ending domain in order to enable fast loading speed in China. So let's say the general tolerant second, okay, that people will stay on will be 4.82 seconds. But if you create a Chinese translated website, you put it on your own country server, whether in Europe or in Asia, you may end up with like a loading speed between 17 seconds to 23 seconds. Whom Chinese will not wait to access you. So again, although you do the translated website, it all looks good in your country, but sometimes you will not be seen or visible in China just because of these technical challenges. So that is the first learning that we learned. So we move on. In the Western world, which I come from the Western digital agency background, of course you put budget into search, right? Website, then search. Then traffic will come and you will see results. So we already know that Google is blocked in China, and Baidu is the Google equivalent in China. So let's focus in search and SEO. Oops, like Stephen at Booking.com just mentioned in the previous forum, Chinese do not search. Chinese do not like to search. The trend for Chinese is from search-based to recommendation-based shopping. So you can see recommendation-based can come from KOL, influencers, can come through a video live streaming platform, WeChat, Weibo. You can see very social-driven to get that traffic, but not from search. So if you follow the Western way and then put your budget into SEO, a lot of budget into SEO, you will say, why don't I see the same result? It is because, that's the learning number 2. Chinese do not like to search. They like recommendation-based shopping, and a lot of them comes from social media. Okay, so mistake number 3, moving right on, you say, let's put some posts out on Chinese social media. We're not stupid. We know YouTube, we know Twitter, we know all those are blocked in China, and there is China equivalent. So we already know Weibo, we already know WeChat, we already know the platform. So let's put some posts out in the China's social media platform, and China will see us. Not that easy. So let's take a look at what happened in China every 60 seconds. Can you believe there are 32,000 posts, organic posts on Weibo every minute, every 60 seconds? There are 520,000 brand mentions on Xiaohongshu on Red, 104,000 plus short videos on Douyin on TikTok, and even well-crafted articles, more than 1,200 on WeChat. So imagine if you have a non-interesting organic public post, it really goes very deep and no one will see you in 5 seconds. So what we learned is actually Chinese search trending hashtags, okay, on social media. So, if we do research properly, we know what people are talking about, we know the trending hashtag, there's a chance that when they search those hashtags, your post will come up and they will see you. Also, from the data point of view, there are different time of day that people will have more viewerships. There are different day of the week that people will watch the post better. So you need to have those data to support you, to schedule your posts for better readership. And then, of course, a simple post, if you just translate your Facebook post to Chinese social media, you're not going to engage a lot of discussion. So you have to do something. You either have to award them, you either have to ask them questions, you have to motivate and incentivize them to engage in discussion. And when they do engage with you, then your post again, will be more popular and more Chinese will see you. So there are hard work and things to do just to put out Chinese social media posts. So moving right on, it's interesting that everyone loves WeChat. Everyone think, China is WeChat. So, what you told me is complicated. Let's not do anything but just focus on WeChat then, right? So this is a brief introduction on WeChat. How many monthly active users, how many official accounts, messagings, moments, newsfeed, how many payment, mini programs, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to spend too much time. You guys all know a little bit about WeChat already. So it is very important. But why do I say that WeChat is not everything in China? It's because WeChat is the Chinese ecosystem. So you can see it's not really a marketing platform. It touches on the day-to-day life of Chinese. So, it's not just like Line or WhatsApp on messaging. It's not just like Facebook or Twitter on social media. It's not just like PayPal or credit card. It's the integration of the day-to-day life of Chinese. So this is why that's why WeChat, you cannot just do WeChat and thinking that Chinese can find you. And what is even worse news to most of us is WeChat is a private, closed platform, as most of you know. Okay, so if you remember the slide before, I told you that there are about 20 million WeChat official accounts. There are about 3.5 million active WeChat official account, and look at the data. 73.3% of Chinese only follow 20 official account or less. So no hotel companies make it. C-Trip barely make it. So you can imagine if you are a hotel or even a chain, Chinese are not going to follow your official account continuously. So, they will use you when they want to, but they will unfollow you afterwards. So that's the challenge to use WeChat. The cost of acquisition to use WeChat is really high, okay, if you do not have the proper branding exercise. And you cannot think, I post something on WeChat, someone is going to see me, because it's closed, okay, because it's a closed platform. So you need to have the connection for them to see you. So a lot of influencers come back and say, Weibo or other channels are actually a better way, for unknown brands to be known in China through social media. So, I put up this slide in a lot of my presentation. WeChat is not a silver bullet. There are a lot of other channels, social media channel, like they mentioned a lot, Xiaohongshu, Literary Book, Weibo, the short video channel like Bilibili, ITBAsia, TikTok, Douyin, and also, the forum type of, Jigu. So there are a lot, those are popular platforms already. There are a lot of niche platforms in China that you need to work on in order to reach the Chinese with your target audience. Okay, so now, the clients that we work with do not have a lot of money, do not have a lot of budget. So they ask us, we have very limited budget. Where do you want me to put my budget on? And we recommend influencers, KOL marketing. And sometimes they come back and say, I do not believe in influencers. Maybe they have bad taste with the Instagram, influencers that they think, they just ask for free hotel night and have a stay and that's it and do not give them any return. But I have to tell you, in China, influencers marketing is a key strategy. And it was demonstrated in the previous, panel discussion as well. So not only me, but a majority of the people, the marketing people who say, what do you want to pay attention? What's the budget that you want to put towards China in 2019? The majority, will put money onto influencers marketing. So if influencers marketing is not your game plan, I would say that would be, one mistake as well. So, but because we have limited budget, what we work on is not those celebrity type of KOLs. So we always focus on grassroots KOL. That is very niche. You have to find a fit to your product. You have to find, if you are, like for wellness resort, then you have to find someone, who love wellness, who themselves do yoga, maybe, to have a good fit, to come to your property to experience and then to do campaigns like that. And now there's an industry term called KOC, which is Key Opinion Customer. So that is kind of a section into KOL that they are the user themselves. Okay, they are the consumer themselves. So they can influence other users on a certain product and things like that. So you can see there are campaigns that we do that even they are not the celebrity. We have one campaign that we run for a hotel in Phuket. The lady only have about 6,000 followers. But she is very niche, specialized in one area, and the likes and engagement that we got from her campaign is higher than one that we engaged with 1 million followers. So sometimes you cannot just judge the campaign by the number of followers. You need to look and find a natural fit. So that's what, the learnings that we learn for people like us who do not have a lot of budget, what should we do? So now, you're following me and you say, okay, I trust you, we do a lot of things. So we'll get great page views, we'll get many likes and followers, right? So I put up, two interesting photos here. The first one is a small click farm in China. So, previously, someone say, whiteboard, is a robot. It's kind of, I think, what he means. There are a lot of fake things in China. So, if you can easily buy likes and followers if you're not careful. You do not know where the source comes from. And the other one is just interesting data, just I got on hand, saying that there are 200 million WeChat official accounts in Philippines. 200 million WeChat official account in Philippines. That's more than their population. So how could that be? Okay, they are all fakes because they know, foreign company who want to go into China, they want WeChat account. So let's set up a bunch of WeChat account and, let's sell it, okay? So WeChat find it out and they shut it down. But this happened everywhere, not just in Philippines, in Africa, in Indonesia, in Malaysia. So my recommendation and what we learned is beware of fakes, okay? Be careful with what you get. China is not cheap, I have to say. So if someone comes to you, offer you something very cheap, sounds like a wonderful deal, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but you just need to be careful. You validate, you do the due diligence and everything. And for China, Chinese are spoiled. Okay, they think you need to pay them to do anything, even to like or follow or whatever. So don't expect the user to click like. You have to ask for it. You have to add incentive, to the whole, strategy. So you can see, for people who really want to be successful in China, they sometimes put an emotion card. What it means is, to give in some spirit, okay? Then people will say, okay, I support you. That's why I like you. Or definitely you have to reward, add an incentive to it. And then sometimes you have to ask the question, because they are quite vocal. So they want to give you their opinion. So sometimes if you ask a question like, oh, I just have renovated this hotel room. Do you like this color? As compared to the old one? Do you like this? We have a new activity. What do you think? So if you raise the question and someone is interested in love to reply back, okay, then again the engagement will encourage other engagement and your post will be more successful. So that's what we learned, okay? If you want the engagement, that's how it works. Not by, like getting some fake likes or reviews. Okay, so now, I think you'll find it very interesting too. What is this NASA-like office? Okay, what is it? If you have a very sharp eyes, if you look at one of the corner, you can see the logo of C-Trip. Okay, so I just took it online, so it's not a photo that I took personally. But this is the C-Trip office. Okay, so I'm not saying that you cannot compete directly with them on direct bookings, which we learned our lesson in the Western world about, with booking with Expedia of the world. But this is C-Trip, okay? They are a technology company. So you can see they're using technology with a lot of big data, that they know where the demand is, they know how to shift demand and do things. So for a major hotel brand, if you have the technology and everything, great, okay? But for the clients that we have, who are independent hotel and small, medium hotel chains that don't have it, how do you expect them to have the big data, to have the technology to compete, right? So the learning that we learn is about 90% of the booking will not go direct. So that is a McKinsey, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. It's a McKinsey report that was put out that in the purchase, okay, 90% will go to OTA, will go to other agency, offline agency, that's a different ways for them to go to find the best rate, okay? After you inspire them, after they get to know you, okay, they still will go somewhere to book. So this is, the learning that we have when we have a proper China strategy. It's hard to focus to get direct bookings, okay? But we focus to get an increase in Chinese business mix. So if we do the proper job, actually Chinese will book us, will book our hotel at whatever channel they choose. So that's kind of the KPI, kind of the strategy that we put for the China market. If not, then you'll be very upset and say it doesn't work, okay? But you have to understand why it doesn't work. So moving on, is one of the last and biggest mistake that, from my perspective, from an agency standpoint would say. So, you tell me, for the past 20 minutes, China is expensive, China is difficult, China is complicated and complex. So we already good bookings from Booking.com, from C-Trip, from China. So why don't we just sit back and do nothing? Okay, and just let the booking come. Then I forget all the headache that you just talked about. So I say this is a mistake is because branding is very important in China. Okay, so there are hundreds, if not thousands of hotels in your location. Why will they book you and not your competitors next door? Okay, that is because of the China effort that you put in. So if you have a proper China strategy, and people see you from time to time, your brand comes into their mind, then whenever, you have different touch points and they see you, then they will remember you and book you. So, if you sit back, OTAs can move, we see the C-Trip office slide, they can move the demand. So, you will disappear or you can disappear if you're not running campaign with them or whatever. So in order to secure your own presence in China, we definitely suggest you have to have your own China branding solution. So what we do is, the big learning is for us, we want to understand the Chinese traveler's journey. So similar to what they previously discussed, we actually surveyed. Okay, we were at a major travel trade show in Guangzhou at the end of August, beginning of September. So we actually spent time to survey face-to-face the Chinese travelers, young Chinese travelers, under 30 years old, to ask them for every touch point, what do they do? From inspiration, planning, validation, booking, staying, and sharing. So this is a summary of my report. If you want details, you can always go to our company website and you can find the information. So just run through it very quickly. Inspiration. As I say, Chinese do not search. So what do? They tap around. What do they tap around? They tap around from social media posts. They tap around from influencers, from the posts from the friends and families. Okay, so that's how they get the inspiration from. Then now when they do planning, again, they go to trip planning site, even OTA site like Ctrip. I do not know if you guys know. It sounds like I'm working for Ctrip, but I'm not. But Ctrip also have their social media platform that they allow their travelers to post their moments and everything onto their platform. So now Ctrip becoming an integrated, not just an OTA platform, but they also have a social media component to it. So people go to Ctrip, for trip planning, as well as social media site like Weibo and Xiaohongshu Interact Book. And then what I find interesting is when we validate, when we survey them on their journey, we find one step that is not quite common in other nationality, but really prominent in China, is they do not believe everything they see. Okay, they like validation. So what they do is they will do all the research. They will shortlist a few hotels or places they want to go, and they will search. This is the point that they will search, and to find whether the hotel that they shortlisted has a Chinese official website, and they would like to want to find more information and validate the data. So 72% of Chinese actually will say they shortlist about 5 hotels. They, after they get inspired, planning and everything, before they book. But the bad news is, after they validate, 84% say they will leave, the hotel official website and just go somewhere to book. Okay, actually our percentage is higher than McKinsey or Focusrite or Sabre, and 16% of the people we survey say they will, book direct. And I think it's a little bit biased because they are at our booth and they know we are selling hotels directly, so they do not want to disappoint us. So they say, oh, okay, sure, I will book the hotels direct. But anyway, even that is between the 10% to the 16% range, that people will say they will book direct. And then they stay, they have a great experience, and then it doesn't stop there. They share the experience online, and the 3 top platforms that they share the experience is WeChat, Weibo, and Xiaohongshu Interact Book. So that becomes, their sharing becomes the inspiration. That is the friends post, that's the social media post that inspire the next travelers, the next Chinese traveler. So, that is what we come up with, and it's important to us, it's important for us to know, because we want to touch on every touch point that reach the Chinese travelers. And that's how we can market effectively our hotel to the Chinese travelers. So, kind of an ending to my session. You can see, Michael Jordan say, the reason why he succeeded is because he fell and missed so many times. I want to add a word of encouragement to us, to every one of us, that China is very complicated. It keeps on changing almost every day. So you cannot come up with a perfect strategy before you try. So, my advice to you guys is, we have to try, and we have to look at what works, what doesn't work, and then rework our strategy to make it successful. So, very quickly, who are we? Compass Edge is an award-winning agency to lead your China online journey. So we do website localization, We build a website with the .cn ending domain hosted in Alibaba Cloud. We do Baidu search engine optimization. We do a lot in media marketing, in a lot of channels. We do influencers, KOL campaign. We also co-founded an alliance with 46 million loyalty Chinese travelers, as well as we do O2O marketing, which includes trade show and road shows. So hope you have enjoyed my session, and thank you very much. Feel free to connect me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. I think we still got some time that you can ask. If not, then I will always be happy to chat with you guys offline. Yes?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very enlightening, because when we are starting the Chinese market, I think, at least from my point of view, we all made these same mistakes.
There you go.
But I have a question, because all in all, ITB is B2B. So this is all, I think, B2C kind of thing.
Okay.
Because my question is, if we don't get into alliance, let's say we see Trip or these platforms, because I keep hearing you have to see Trip, Mafengo, all these things you lose your brand. So that's it, it's okay. But then, for example, here we are B2B markets. Is there a solution for us to do this job? Is there a survivable in Chinese market without getting into this huge C3, Mafengo, etc.?
Yeah, I will quickly just make a comment. B2B, B2B2C, like you can see all China is integrated. So it's not like, what we're talking about is only B2C. Because if you do not start with your own brand, okay, then you cannot go B2B, and then you cannot go B2B2C. So, that's the reason why those are all the things that I am honestly recommending to hotels in a way on how they can do it properly. And of course, we heard about from the foreign, the previous panel, that partnership definitely is very important for the China market. So that's the reason why, as you can see as well, we have, partnerships, with China Southern Airlines, with, Guangzhou Travel Services. We run roadshow with travel agencies in order to help them to go to that market. But for you, for example, if you're an agency, you actually do not have all the information, right? From a hotel client. So you do need those kind of information in order for you to be, forwarding that forward. So, I think that makes your job easier from a B2B perspective to sell if they do the proper job. Yeah. So any other questions? Hold on.
Do you have any data that shows that the investment in a brand strategy for hotels has a better return on investment than, say, the acquisition cost from an OTA?
We haven't done that kind of, really, I'm honest, we haven't done that kind of data evaluation. And the reason being, for example, we put a lot of emphasis, as I mentioned, in influencers marketing. And that is a very long-term marketing strategy. Right, so OTA, they have the demand, they can push it back with the booking, which you are looking for. But for us, if we look at the inspiration stage, it can be 2 years. Okay, after they see your KOL wonderful video, then they plan a trip to go to your destination. So how do you quantify that? Right now, we do not have that kind of data. But for the influencers marketing, we focus on reach and we focus on engagement. So you can actually see people asking for hotel rate. How can I book you? What I just, I want to go there in Chinese New Year. So how can I book with you? So we saw those kind of engagement. But to quantify that, to compare with the investment with OTA, definitely we don't have that. But to me, OTA is sales, and what we do is marketing and branding. So it is a kind of not in parallel. It's not totally same to put it on the same plane to compare. Any other question? Okay, if not, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy my session. Thank you.